Cobra Kai never dies. Although after this season, I'd kind of be okay if it did. Yeah, Cobra Kai season 3 kind of actually, I suppose fittingly, left me thinking a lot about Karate Kid Part 3 in that after a very natural progression and escalation of the first to the second, the third one is kind of floundering and doing a lot of things to up its game, or it thinks it's upping its game, but a lot of it is retreading and very little of it's interesting. Yeah, wasn't a huge fan of this one. I suppose I'll start with some of the good points, because there are some in here. First of all, let me actually say that what is handled the best in this season is Johnny himself. His arc, his journey, his interactions, his chemistry with the characters, and also Allie when she shows up. There's going to be spoilers in this, by the way, but if you didn't figure out she was going to show up eventually, then you have no sense of pattern recognition when it comes to these kinds of shows. But anyways, it's done really well. I really am rooting for Johnny at this point. I want him to be better, and I see him trying to be, but I also see that it's hard for him to be better, and I am invested in that. And he's charismatic and has great chemistry with pretty much everybody, and just the trajectory of his character, including the stumbles that he hits, tracks really well for me. I'm really digging what they're doing with him and some of the stuff around him. Miguel, also pretty solid in terms of, and I mean, part of that is just he feeds so directly into Johnny's story, probably more than anybody else, short of Allie. And so he's still good. Daniel, I was starting to find Daniel a little grating. I will say I enjoyed his trip to Okinawa because as a fan of the second Karate Kid movie, I feel it's very underrated. I enjoyed seeing him go back there. I liked him reconnecting with Kumiko, and like the interactions with Chosen were not the most shocking to me, but I did still enjoy them. I thought those were solid additions to the thing overall. But here's the rub on this thing. You'd think me saying I'm really invested in Johnny would mean the show's doing great. Isn't this Johnny's story? Well, the thing is, it's becoming his story less and less and less as time goes on. And as we introduce more characters and spend more time with these freaking teenagers, yeah, I don't care about any of them other than Miguel. And even Miguel, like, I like him, but the rest of these kids, I don't enjoy, really at all. I mean, credit where credit's due. They got rid of Raymond, the friggin' creepy adult who was hanging around. He's gone, thankfully. But in getting rid of him, they also scrapped Aisha, who, okay, I'm going to backtrack actually a little bit on here and rag on season 2 just a little bit. Because Tori's entire arc, not her characterization, because her characterization is actually kind of crap, but I mean her arc in terms of where she's clashing and becoming a rival for Sam, that should have been Aisha's story. Now, they ditched her, I'm assuming twofold. One, they didn't know what to do with the character anymore, and two, she was of a non-classically beautiful body type. So they were never going to romantically pair her off. So what else are they going to do with a female character? But I didn't like Tori last season either. But like I remember seeing like the drinking competition between Tori and Sam, and this was last season. And I'm thinking, I have no investment in this. But if that was Aisha drinking against her, I would have some investment in that. But I just don't in this. And Tori is a garbage character. This is not an issue of the actress. The character is just this broad strokes. Like they tried to give her a tiny bit of depth. It doesn't take. She's just a moron. She is a violent, vindictive moron. And then there's Kreese, who at this point... God, Kreese feels like Emperor Palpatine at times. Join the Cobra Kai side. Good, good. He might as well. That's how they're writing him at this point. And no, giving a backstory didn't give him any depth either. And he's not a character who needs depth. And he didn't benefit from it, really, at all. And, oh, God, the tail end, when they implied that they're going to bring back the freaking guy from Karate Kid Part 3, the guy we've all tried to forget existed because he was embarrassing. He was, can't even remember, something silver? They're bringing him back? Gross. Look, here's the one thing I'll say. If they can manage to bring in Hilary Swank after this to close this thing out, like, I'll be here for that. But, like, right now, I have very little investment in this thing at this point. And like I said, none of these kids, don't care about any of them, don't care about Robbie. I think it's how many of them are just like, ooh, look how tough and edgy these kids are becoming. They've done it with Tori, they did it with Robbie, they did it with frickin' Hawk or whatever it is. Although they had Hawk like change size at the very end, which was totally unearned. I didn't buy that for a second. They did not earn that worth a dang. That didn't work. Like, on paper, I see what they did to make that sell, but I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it at all. Completely undermotivated for that heel turn. Or, I guess, anti-heel turn, because now he's not a heel anymore. Whatever. Oh, and his hair looks really stupid this season. It looks like a hat. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it is actually something that they have stuck on top of his head, but it does not look like hair at all this season. I don't remember thinking that last time. But yeah, here, I don't like Sam anymore because she's just as single-minded as all the rest of these freaking moron kids. I still hate Dimitri. He had like one quick second where like I am almost like kind of okay with him, and then he said something nerdy, and I'm like, oh, you I hate him. I still hate him. But like, and am I the only one who gets annoyed and thinks it's really stupid that how transparent at this point the fact that they refuse to have either Tori or Sam fight a guy? Does it bother anyone else? Because it kind of bugs me. Like, you got away with it, definitely in the big fight at the end of the second season. You totally got away with it there because they had direct reason to be going after each other. Now, you could claim that's still going on here, but like, even in big group fights, they'd still have the two of them break off, go somewhere else completely different, so there's no chance they could possibly ever get in a fight with a guy, so we can just have two girls duke it out, neither of whom I give a dang about. Oh, you know what was actually something that was pretty well balanced? One of the things I was nervous about going into this season, I'd picked up a whiff somewhere, like some article, like how the season 3 confirmed the Daniel is actually the jerk in the original Karate Kid theory, which had been floating around the internet for a few years at this point. And even catching a whiff of that, I'm like, oh no. Because, like, I never cared. Like, I get it as a fun, like, thought exercise or whatever, but people got invested in that. I'm like, no. And then when I saw articles like that, whoever wrote that article, friggin' clickbait moron. But having actually seen it, they actually balance it really well. Where there's just a frank acknowledgement of what went on, during the events of the first movie. And then the things that make Daniel look the worst are things that we didn't see. So things like what happened between him and Allie between the first and the second movie, things between them later. So, like, yeah, you can have Daniel be a jerk. You can have Daniel screw up on things without having to rewrite what the original film was. So I actually think they did a decent balance striking with that. But again, that ties into Allie, who was one of the highlights when she came in towards the end. But I don't know. I suppose I'll check out trailers when the next season gets ready to go up. I guess the other thing I'll mention, I do appreciate that by the end, Daniel and Johnny are maybe not completely, but they're definitely working on getting over their nonsense between each other. Like, it's about time. And that was good to see. I don't know where else you go from here. Well, no, I do know where else you go. It's the two of them versus the Emperor. Good. Yeah, no, I'm just not. What I'm invested in is Johnny and Johnny getting better as a person, and it's become join forces to defeat Kreese. I'm like, seriously? Yeah. Maybe I'll check out a fourth season when it comes out. I don't know. Took my time getting through this one. Cobra Kai Season 3. It's not all bad. There's still some good in it. But much like Karate Kid Part 3, it's missing a lot of what worked before. And what's left feels like it's trying too hard. And I'm just like, bleh. What'd you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. I have a Patreon, and that is how I pay my bills. This is, in fact, my living. So any amount you are able to help out there is greatly appreciated. But you also don't have to. Because, the usual stuff like shares and subscribes. They help me out as well. But no pressure for that either. Take a relaxed attitude around here, so just come on back next time you need a break.